Hey guys, welcome back. Born Fighter documentary, episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about characters, specifically Talia. Um, Most of the characters are already pretty well established by this point, but when it comes to writing for female characters, I got nothing. I don't know how to write a female character. But, you know what exists? People. People exist. Like my mother and my sister, and I have very strong willed women in my life. But the issue with that I faced initially was the whole aspect of Talia needs to be more than a love interest, and Talia needs to have an arc. Because one of the first questions that I asked was what makes a boring female character in a play where she's not the protagonist? And the number one thing that I got was having a female lead or female supporting role or however you want to call it, and she's just kind of there solely as a love interest. Her only point in the story is to just add that intimacy of layer into the story. But I was like, okay, I want something more than that. I want to build a character um, who not only maybe not, I don't know, even as the writer, I'm not sure if she's gonna end up being the love interest solely. Maybe an aspect of it, but I don't know. For Talia's character, I want her to have an arc, and so what I'm doing with her is initially she was a very one note character. She's the badass in the group, so to speak. She's the one who's like, you know what, like, nah, don't talk to me like that. I will sass you into the corner and make you sit down. I'll make you cry if I need to. But what I'm kind of transforming that is introducing the question, how did Talia get there? And I think asking myself that question has caused me to reestablish a little bit in terms of how to approach that. So for Talia, it's having her start in terms of being someone who's sweet because, yeah, she has issues, and I'm not going to spoil that for you. Um, she has traumas, she has things that she's dealt with like everyone else. And the way that she's chosen to cope with them, introduced early on into the play, are in ways of people pleasing, being the nice person, being the person that's okay with being not so much taken advantage of, I guess in a broader sense, but more than anything, being a person who's like they don't mind being teased, they don't mind being the butt of the joke, and she goes from that to going through an experience with one of the characters to I'm not going to be like this person anymore. I want to be different. I want to be someone who's well respected. I want to be someone who's still has the mark of kindness but is capable of being assertive. And in order to get to that point, I had to interview someone who, or interview people, I would say, people who started off or have always been, or at least from the point that I met them in my life, they were very assertive. They were very dominant, well respected women who were just kind of like, you know what, this is the way it's going to go. And this is who I am. Um, and then I also had to interview the women in my life who were more, I'm very soft spoken, I'm very sweet, and I do struggle with people who treat me like a doormat, take advantage of me, and are constantly just kind of like pushing me to the side. And they felt like, in their words, like they're never a priority um, in someone else's life. And then the third type of person that I interviewed was someone who started on the sweeter side, but then now is or has moved on to the more assertive, dominant side. And what I noticed about that person is they have a little bit of the kindness, sweetness, and softness inside of them, but they also have that balance of you're not going to take advantage of me. And I think in studying that third person, it was just kind of like, okay, I know how I want Talia to be. Now it's how do I get her into the script? So what I'm doing now is creating Talia in the sense of when she's first introduced as a character, you notice and you take note not only of how she is introduced, but you're also taking note of how other characters interact with her, how she interacts with the space, how she interacts or how she is interacted with, and her place in all of that. And as it progresses for the duration of the show, you start to see these little changes, these little nuances that at this point I'm trusting the actor uh, to have that slow build up to resistance of that arc, kind of like a B plot. But the point of Talia that I'm pushing for this one is that Talia needs to become a different, not better or worse. She just needs to become different so that Jordan will be able to fulfill the things that he needs to accomplish um, throughout the musical. Um, Not to say one person. Nah, sorry. He does depend on her. Yeah, that's just the point. Um, but not just her. He's also depending on every other character in the musical to make their journey because if those characters don't make their journey, they don't get to help him. Jordan, the protagonist, who's always having to do things himself, he needs to come across these things where it's like, I need something, and I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to go ahead and try to handle it myself. Little does he know that there have been other characters who are on their journeys on the side that are becoming something else. And so while he's thinking, what I need to do, there has to be something I can do, he's actually in the waiting while these people are becoming who they need to be so that they can push him to the next step. So one goes through their change, they push him through the next step. The next person goes through their change, they push him through the next step. Another person goes through their change, they push him through the next step. And by the end, now you have a different Jordan who was only able to become who he needed to be because of the people that surrounded him. He did the best that he could with what he had, and it was amazing. He got as far as possible. And he wasn't just, oh, woe is me, I'm just going to wait for people to show up, but he was trying things in the waiting, trying to figure out what to do. And when the solution came, it's like, that's it. Now I can go. Yeah, that's what we got for this one. This is, again, Talia's character, and we'll see how she turns out in the musical. Thank you guys for tuning in.